Messing up? Yes, Corey is CIA, like he didn't even got to say it. I know it. Who's CIA? Not only was Corey Gamble extremely close to Kim Porter and Diddy was there. He was there when the coroners arrived to Kim Porter's house after 911 was called. Am I crazy? That's Corey Gamble 100%. Not in the blue. The one right behind him. Yo, things are getting wild in the Kardashian world. Kris Jenner and Corey Gamble are splitting up. Kanye is again claiming that Corey is CIA. And on top of that, Kris and Kim got dragged into Diddy's legal mess. So the streets are saying Corey might be ready to leave Kris. And she's freaking out because if he starts talking, a lot of skeletons could come out. And now Kanye's throwing fuel on the fire, saying both Kris and Kim were involved in some serious illegal activities with Diddy. And of course, Diddy and Corey have been close friends forever. So yeah, the rabbit hole goes deep and the receipts are insane. So let's just jump right into it. Have this. Kanye posted a picture of Corey Gamble, Kris Jenner's longtime boyfriend. The caption reads, "God has a plan to remove the godless." Corey needed to never be here anyway, and I think he's a nice person. So Kris Jenner and her boy toy, Corey Gamble, are going through a major crisis. And they even got into a public altercation during Beyoncé's Cowboy Carter concert in Vegas. Sources say Kris literally stormed off in the middle of the show, and Khloe had to step in to try and calm Corey down. One eyewitness told Page 6 that Kris and Corey looked visibly tense while Corey was frustrated and Khloe was trying to reassure him. And this isn't even the first time Kris and Corey have had a public blow-up. Back in June at Jeff Bezos' wedding in Venice, Kris ditched Corey to ride solo in a water taxi. And sources said he looked totally over it, muttering something about always doing what Kris wants. At the time, an insider told Radar Online that Corey, quote, is sick of being treated like a glorified assistant hired to do Kris's bidding and smooth out tricky situations, which with Kris seemed to happen on a daily basis. End quote. But here's the thing. Corey Gamble isn't just some random boyfriend in the background. Kris might have thought she could run the show with him, but that could be her biggest miscalculation yet. See, this guy's got deep ties, allegedly. I'm talking intelligence-level connections and some seriously powerful people. Sure, he's been Kris's boyfriend forever, but has anyone really ever asked where he even came from? One day he was just there, and nobody knows about his life before Kris. And let's be honest, Kris isn't exactly the type to pick a nobody, especially after everything with her ex-husbands. Now here's the wild part. Corey's connections are insane. He's literally close to everyone in the industry, from Diddy, Jay-Z, Ellen DeGeneres, and even Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. There's also this clip making rounds where Corey and Jay-Z are literally walking Beyoncé to her car after a pre-Grammy party. And let's just say Beyoncé did not look like she was completely sober in that moment. So why is Kris Jenner's boyfriend out here acting like Beyoncé's personal bodyguard? The whole thing feels off. And if that's not strange enough, Corey's been spotted multiple times hopping on Jay-Z and Beyoncé's private jet. Like, why is this dude everywhere with the most powerful people in the industry? So lately, there have been a ton of rumors floating around that Corey might actually be one of those Hollywood handlers or fixers. But here's the thing. Why would Corey even need to do that? He is with Kris Jenner. He's clearly not broke. So what's the point? Well, according to insiders, there's way more to the whole handler job than people realize. Allegedly, these handlers might be connected to intelligence agencies, which makes this way bigger than just celebrity babysitting. And look, we've seen this before. Remember Kanye's ex-trainer, Harley Pasnak? After he threatened, he would institutionalize him and send him back to Zombieland. People dug into his background and found ties to Canadian intelligence. And Harley himself admitted in an interview that he worked in a military lab researching substances that normal people would never have access to. And the area of that I was interested in was how drugs and food affect muscular performance. And well, when you say drugs, is that like performance-enhancing drugs, or are they all kinds of drugs? Right. Okay, so working for the military, I wasn't governed by the same laws that the typical person was. So I could look at the impact of certain drugs that are not everyday things. Now, speaking of Kanye, he's been calling this stuff out for years. He's openly put Harley on blast, saying he's just one of many Hollywood handlers working behind the scenes and in one run-in with paparazzi. Kanye flat out said he's worried about the handlers around his family, which definitely sounds like he was talking about Corey. If Harley was part of intelligence, right, what kind of people you think are surrounding my kids? What kind of people you think are in that house right now? And let's not forget Kanye's made it crystal clear he doesn't want Corey anywhere near his kids. Back in the summer of 2020, when he escaped to his Wyoming ranch, Ye went off on social media accusing Kim and Kris of trying to put him under a 5150 psychiatric hold. And then he publicly warned Kris and Corey that they were not allowed around his children. And then in another post, Kanye called Corey godless, claimed he was CIA, and alleged that he was, quote, sent in, end quote, to infiltrate the K. Jenner family. Kanye also wrote, "He got my wife linked with the liberals in a deep way. That was his job. For some reason, I always felt he worked for DuPont or some organization in that pedigree." And then Ye dismissed Corey, adding, "Now he's off to his next mission. His job is done." But that's not all. In 2023, a video leaked of Kanye talking to someone on the phone and claiming that Corey is definitely CIA. CIA. Yes, Corey's CIA. Like, he didn't even have to say it. I know it. You CIA. But the rabbit hole goes even deeper when you start digging into Corey's connection to Diddy. See, before Corey ever linked up with Kris, he was actually one of Diddy's main fixers. And get this. He was photographed at Kim Porter's house hours after she died before the forensics team even showed up. Like, why was Kris Jenner's boyfriend at that scene so fast? That's not normal. How am I just now finding out that not only was Corey Gamble extremely close to Kim Porter and he was there? He was there when the coroners arrived to Kim Porter's house after 911 was called. Am I crazy? That's Corey Gamble 100%, not in the blue. The one right behind him. Like, I don't even have a theory. I'm just confused. And we're going to talk about this in the deep dive. But Kim Porter, when she passed away, there was obviously discrepancies in police reports versus coroner reports. Another thing we know for a fact is P. Diddy had her entire home wired with audio listening devices and video cameras. Was her passing caught on camera? Does Diddy have footage of Kim Porter passing away? I just don't get it. How has this man been everywhere? Have connections with everyone, but he is really only known as Kris's boyfriend? Now, officially, Kim Porter's cause of death was listed as pneumonia, and doctors said she'd been dealing with flu-like symptoms for weeks, but her family told a different story. They claimed Kim was perfectly active, even getting a massage the very same day she passed. And then it gets creepy. That night, Kim allegedly sent a group text to her friends saying, quote, "He got me," end quote, right after getting into bed. And then she actually called 911. And keep in mind that just because Kim and Diddy were broken up at the time doesn't mean he let her live freely. Far from it. In fact, he kept a tight grip on her life, had people following her around and was basically spying on her every move. Allegedly, former Bad Boy artist Mark Curry even claimed that Diddy wiretapped Kim's phones just so he could know exactly what she was doing at all times. It was all, insecurities. Anytime a man would go out his way to wiretap someone's phone or put taps in their homes just to monitor their conversation, that's a sign of insanity. So when you see someone doing that, you can imagine everything else they do. What do you think he's gonna do if he found her on the phone talking to someone and or feels that she's cheating on him or somebody sleeping with his girl? What you think he going to say? "Ooh, I caught you. Ooh, I heard this." Now he gonna come in with the, it's going to be a fight. So, if those reports are true that Kim Porter was working on a telememoir before she died, then you already know Diddy must have known about it. And if he knew, well, there's no way he would have just let that book see the light of day. And here's where Corey comes back into the picture. Multiple sources have alleged that Corey was spotted carrying a laptop out of Kim's house the very day she died before the forensics team even arrived. And that detail alone raises way too many questions. How am I just now finding out that not only was Corey Gamble extremely close to Kim Porter and he was there? He was there when the coroners arrived to Kim Porter's house after 911 was called. Am I crazy? That's Corey Gamble 100%. Not in the blue, the one right behind him. Like, I don't even have a theory. I'm just confused. And we're going to talk about this in the deep dive. But Kim Porter, when she passed away, there was obviously discrepancies in police reports versus coroner reports. Another thing we know for a fact is P. Diddy had her entire home wired with audio listening devices and video cameras. Was her passing caught on camera? Does Diddy have footage of Kim Porter passing away? I just don't get it. How has this man been everywhere? Have connections with everyone? But he is really only known as Kris's boyfriend? So, if Corey really did remove anything from Kim Porter's house that could help or hurt a criminal investigation, that's not just shady, that's potentially a felony. It's literally interfering with law enforcement. So why has no one ever questioned Corey about this? Why was he even at Kim's place before the car owner showed up? Well, if Kanye's right and Corey really does have intelligence ties, then that would explain why he's untouchable. Which brings us to the real issue. What was Kory's actual role in the Kardashian family? Why did he infiltrate the circle? And now that things with Kris might be falling apart, does he have enough dirt to blow everything wide open if the breakup doesn't go his way? Because let's not forget Kris and all of her daughters were close with Diddy, and they were regulars at his parties. We did a shoot in the Bahamas with Justin Bieber. How old is Justin? 16. During the shoot, Justin said, "Oh, I have a nickname for you." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Cougar." Does he have a crush on you? I have no idea. Do you have a crush on him? Yeah, Kim, do you have a crush on him? If only he was 18. 18? Wait. You know there's stuff all over the internet about how you're a cougar. How I'm a cougar? You're not even 30 years old. You're a cougar. No, I am. Where are you going? I'm going to go to join Diddy. He's doing that. Rick Ross is doing a little concert this afternoon. No. Music. But here's where it gets even darker. Kanye recently accused Kim of being involved in the same kind of crimes that landed Diddy behind bars. Ye went off on Kim after finding out North was featured on a track with UK artist FKA Twigs. And he wrote this: "Kim Kardashian is an ex-traker. I don't like that Twigs has my daughter in her video dressing all grown." I would have expected more from Twigs. It's F all you ninjas. My soul is black. And what y'all don't believe me and just say I'm crazy. Now look, I get it. We always have to take what Kanye says with a grain of salt. But at the same time, you can't just ignore all these weird coincidences, especially when it comes to Kory and his role in the K. Jenner empire. So I want to know what you think. Who is Kory Gamble, really? Is he just Kris Jenner's longtime boyfriend? Or is he actually a Hollywood handler? Maybe even a CIA asset? And why do you think he got involved with Kris in the first place? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And as always, I'll catch you in the next video.